Welcome to Sentient Snail ASMR. Like, share, subscribe, but most importantly, enjoy. This is an erotic story, 18 and above. If you are under 18, I recommend you look at one of my other videos. Thank you for complying, and enjoy the story. This is the second part of the Broken Circle. If you are just joining in, I recommend you start with part 1 and come back to this one later. And now, let's begin. There was work to be done. Marvin's unconscious body would have to be moved. Not only did he stink up the lounge, but his terrible drab attire and his filthy tank top completely clashed with the style of the furniture. Kristian knew that would not do, not in his own house. He left Jaden alone, slowly rocking his body in the moment. The handsome man still mumbling to himself, repeating the truths his new master revealed to him only moments ago. Dragging Marvin's unconscious body through the house could make a terrible mess, so Kristian naturally lifted the body and carried it through the maze of elegantly designed rooms, all built as exact replicas of Victorian English style. Finally, the basement door came into view. A strong oak door with metal braces, hiding behind its thickness the long wooden stairs curving down to the underground basement. With no sentiment or forbearance, Kristian flung the door open and carried the body downstairs, occasionally banging its head against the stairway's railing. A large metal cage stood at the ready. Marvin's unconscious form offered no struggle, as his hands and feet were chained to the wall. Kristian stood at the cell door behind him and gave a satisfied look at the underground dungeon. Built during colonial times, this place was solid stone and woodwork. A bomb could go off in here, and the neighbors would not be the wiser. Of course, Kristian's house didn't have any neighbors. Secluded homes in abandoned neighborhoods were always his favorite. Leaving Marvin to his broken slumber, he climbed quickly back, locking the dungeon door behind him. Training a new slave is a lot of hassle, he thought. No wonder I've been putting it off for so long. Coming back to the lounge, his eyes fell again on his new acquisition. The young man was beautiful. Even Kristian had to admit that. His gaze wandered slowly upon Jaden's large, powerful calves and thighs, and down to his perfectly symmetrical torso. The slight ruffled T-shirt gave hints of a chiseled body underneath. Finally, atop his wide, bull-like neck, Jaden's face was quite lovely. Full dark lips, a sharp, narrow nose, and deep green eyes that held such promise. These eyes were now out of focus, staring inwards into Jaden's own mind as he still tirelessly repeated Kristian's words. Kristian took a minute to admire the tranced man. Not so much a Greek god, I think. More of a wuxia male, he muttered to himself. Then the smile on his face widened, his fangs clearly shining in the room's dim lighting. Training such a slave may hold its advantages after all. Kristian approached Jaden's immobile body, and their eyes met once again. Jaden seemed to immediately focus on those glowing orbs of red. As Kristian's widening smile exposed his killer fangs once more, he began to speak. You are so relaxed right now, and that feels good. Your worries washed away, your cares far from you, and the more you gaze into me, into my eyes, the smaller and farther away they become for you. In fact, you cannot even remember them anymore, can you? And as you forget, a feeling of bliss and joy spreads throughout your body, warming you up from the inside. Isn't it nice, boy? Jaden's dreamy face relaxed, the wrinkles around his mouth and eyes melting into complete relaxation as the subliminal musical voice played along, the words carrying a power he had never felt before till this day. All he could do is listen. All he wanted was to listen more. The vampire's next move was impossible to all human hypnotists, limited by their own mortality. He moved, and somehow stayed in the same place at once, his unnatural speed allowing him to seem in two places at once. One image right in front of Jaden's unfocused eyes, continuing to deepen his hold on this intruder. The other, slowly lowering Jaden's helpless body onto the massive crimson Victorian sofa, the rapid movement creating a low hum, parting the air as it filled the room. The vampire's lightning-fast back-and-forth motion cut through the air, creating sound waves of weird, unnatural reverberation. The hum seemed to have an effect on Jaden. His eyes, already out of focus, rolled back deep in his skull, leaving behind only white, vacant orbs. The two spectral vampires now circled Jaden from both sides of the ample sofa. Their voices spoke softly, the same voice coming from two different angles into Jaden's helpless ears. Submit, boy. Obey. Let go. Relax. This is your world now. Mine. This is your place now. Serve. You forget who you are. Blank. You are a slave. You want this. You love this. Toy. You are in love. Love your master. Born for this. Your only life. Crave master's approval. Desire to please. Serving master fulfills you. Erotic. You need master. Body and soul. You want master. Fuck doll. You want only to obey. 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 As Jaden's breaths grew shallower, faster, the vampire's sharp fingers touched the man's unconscious forms, touring his body. Pop went a stitch as a razor-sharp nail cut through the fabric of his pants. Within minutes, Jaden was left wearing nothing but his black boxers, his sweatpants and under-armor shirt laying in tattered ruins on the floor beneath. Kristian noted to himself the promise that was made earlier was definitely fulfilled, for underneath Jaden's shirt laid a perfectly chiseled form, his massive pecs only mildly hairy and definitely beautifully defined, his sculptured symmetrical six-pack now quivering under the vampire's erotic assault, as an attack on his very mind and soul was going on. Kristian's cold fingers followed the quivering lines of Jaden's masculine form, a pinch here, a tickle there, enhancing the pleasure as they went along, 4 hands working as one, and soon Jaden's sturdy body betrayed him, for what will be the first of many orgasms to come. He erupted in his black boxers, dripping on the shiny wooden floor and moaning helplessly out of control. His mind thrust by the orgasm, sinking even deeper into Kristian's control. "Now, look what you've done," said Kristian with a smile. "Someone will have to wipe the mess clean later. But for now, let's get rid of those boxers. They serve no purpose anymore." Quickly, and with surgical accuracy, the vampire's sharp fingers cut through the thin fabric, tossing the spent underwear aside, exposing Jaden's 10-inch wonder, thick and throbbing, still covered with freshly made spunk. Kristian's smile became a laughter. Quite a catch indeed. He will enjoy this servant for years to come. One of his 4 hands wrapped around the quivering shaft, never letting Jaden have a second to relax or recover. Under Kristian's masterful touch, Jaden rapidly hardened again, ready for yet another milking. Quietly, slowly, the front door of the house opened as Andrew returned from his errands. Kristian, who could hear the Bentley's engine from 2 blocks away, in exactly the same way as he had heard Marvin and Jaden lying in ambush for the last 2 weeks, was not at all surprised at this. He did not, however, stop for a single second to greet his returning servant. The process was too delicate, and his servant knew him too well, well enough to leave him alone for now. Andrew, seeing the situation for what it was, and knowing his master's soul after so many years, quietly crept upstairs, taking with him a bag full of pilfered treasures, which had slipped off Jaden's shoulder when he first entered the room and saw his father's dire predicament. Methodically, Andrew started putting everything back in its proper place. Master did not tolerate a mess. Putting the 3rd floor in order took a couple of hours. When he finished, Andrew made his way downstairs to the maintenance closet. A mop and a bucket accompanied him across the bloodied path left behind by Marvin's body as it was dragged to the basement. The wooden floors had to be kept clean. Always. Master had no patience for dust and stains, or for servants who had patience for dust. Having mopped the floors until they sparkled, Andrew then turned his attention to the kitchen, where he mixed up a nutritious yet revolting mush. With his usual silent gait, he walked downstairs, unlocking the basement door as he went down. Marvin, just regaining consciousness and suffering from an obvious concussion, tried to mutter a few words at him. Andrew put his finger delicately on the old man's lips. "Hush, my friend. This is no time for questions. You must eat first. You will need your strength. Eat while I address your wounds." In his confusion, and even more so his pain, Marvin had no choice but to accept this situation for now, as Andrew slowly spoon-fed him. The gruel was not pleasant, but it did warm his body up and seemed to rebuild some of his strength. After this strange meal was concluded, Andrew opened the first aid kit, always present in the basement per master's requirements. With a skill bought through years of hands-on experience, he bandaged and sewed Marvin's wounds, disinfecting them and wrapping them in clean gauze, smiling to himself as he evaluated a job well done. Master will be pleased. Andrew left the dungeon, climbing up the stairs to the sound of Marvin's desperate cries. "Please, please wait! Help me! Get me out of here! This is wrong! Please, just call the police! Help!" The heavy wooden door swung shut behind him, taking Marvin's screams and pleas with it, returning the house to its hallowed silence. After a short and rather selfish pause to feed himself, Andrew turned once again to his duties. he grabbed a rag and a small bucket of soapy water and headed to the lounge, where Jaden's shaking, exhausted body was sprawled on the sofa. About 6 hours' worth of orgasms and cum were spread on the floor in front of his naked form. Without making a sound or disrupting his master's brainwashing, Andrew bent a knee and went to work on the sticky floors, as his master kept squeezing yet another orgasm from the depleted body. As midnight struck, Jaden had given up. Broken beyond repair, his mind now spun with new thoughts, new ideas, given to him by his beloved master. When he looked into Kristian's eyes, he no longer saw the terrible monster that had beat his father to a pulp and tortured him half to death. He saw only his beloved master, a man who he had sworn to dedicate his body and his life for service of. No resistance was left within him. And why should he resist? We all live our lives searching for pleasure, and this man, this God, has proven to be the source of pleasure beyond imagination. Jaden would follow him to the grave, if need be. Kristian, exhausted himself from long hours of conditioning and training, rose to his feet, his two selves quickly merging back into one impressive form, standing tall above Jaden's broken and defeated body. As he spoke, Jaden could not stop a sharp and powerful wave of pleasure running through his spine. "Come, slave, it is late, and I am hungry. Follow me, but do not speak." Jaden got up, still naked and covered in cum, and followed his master down the hallway, his feet weak and wobbling. For the third time today, the door to the basement swung open, and Marvin's desperate pleas once again started echoing in the halls of the house. As Kristian and Jaden came into sight, Marvin began to sob with relief. "Oh, thank God! Thank God, son! Thank God! Please, get me down from here! Please, boy, help me! Help me down!" Jaden, hearing his father's familiar voice, seemed to stop for a second, shaking, while his eyes searched for the source of this sound. A spark of recognition lit behind Jaden's sunken, tired eyes. He suddenly realized who it was before him, chained to the wall, bandaged and beaten. His own father, begging him for help. His muscles clenched as his legs prepared to step forward. Then, suddenly, he felt something else. His master's gaze upon him, curiously examining him with detachment. A second of hesitation had come and gone. Jaden knew what he must now do. He moved slightly to the side, opening the door to the cell, and pulled back, standing motionless in silent waiting. Kristian was pleased. His new slave had proven himself, passing the test. His training now completed, he turned to Marvin and to the fountain of nutritious blood flowing within him. The vampire walked into the cell in front of Marvin's unbelieving, shocked and defeated eyes, as his own son stood still, within arm's reach, unwilling to help. A smile still on his face, Kristian sank his fangs into Marvin's neck and began to feed. In the seconds it took Marvin's consciousness to begin to fade again, he heard his son speak his final words of goodbye. "Don't worry, father. With your body's size and weight, you will be Master's blood bag for many years to come. He will take good care of you. You will have food and shelter, and never have to steal again. It is an honor to serve Master, even as his blood bag. You should be proud. Goodbye, Father. I will always remember you as you used to be. As the heavy door swung to a close for the last time of the day, peace returned to the hollowed house. Andrew and Jaden retired to their rooms, only a thought away from Master's beckoning call. This young man will need his rest tonight, Kristian thought. But tomorrow, oh, tomorrow will be a bright new day. He turned off the lights and sat there alone, watching out into the street, engulfed in silent thought. And as the darkness swallowed the silent house once again, only two dim dots of red remained to shine quietly into the night. And in that darkness, Kristian smiled. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed part 2 of my story, and I hope to see you again in part 3 and in all my other videos as well. Please don't forget to like and possibly even subscribe if you like what I do. I could really use the count. Anyway, I guess I'll see you guys again soon, if I'm lucky. Have a good one.